Yes, here with who is considered the unofficial mayor of this city, Gary Neville. Let's talk about the big news coming into this fixture. Kevin De Bruyne announcing that he will be leaving City at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, what a player. Absolutely incredible player for the Premier League, for Manchester City, one of the very best that we've seen. Quality, and every time I watch him play, it's almost like him and David Silva for a number of years, watching them in midfield together was exceptional. Such a high standard. Reminds me very much of sort of the likes of Steven Gerrard and David Beckham with the precision of his delivery. Trent Alexander-Arnold's another one as well. But yeah, one of the top 5 midfield players I think in Premier League history, and someone who's been vital to City in this incredible run that they've had.
Did it surprise you or not that the decision was made by Pep Guardiola and the club rather than De Bruyne?
No, I felt that it wasn't quite right for probably 6 months or so now. It just felt like the relationship, the feeling, the sort of performance levels as well. Obviously, you know, Kevin De Bruyne has not had the season that obviously he wanted, neither of City. But they just felt that something else as well in the background wasn't quite right, and Kevin De Bruyne, I think it's the right time for him to leave. Sometimes it becomes obvious for everybody that the partnership should end, and I think it's that's happened. It doesn't surprise me at all.
This has been considered a low-key derby, but
that's one way of putting it.
Yeah, City still have something crucial to play for, Champions League place. And Manchester United looking to the Europa League to save their season, they surely have to go to Lyon with some confidence and stuff. So this is still a big game.
Oh no, it's a big game. United haven't got the luxury of being able to sort of rest players or think they can do anything clever going into the game on Thursday night. They have to basically build momentum. They've not had good enough performances over the season, and Ruben Amorim needs to build a style of play and get these players used to his system, and still sort of having some teething problems, struggling to score goals. It's really important for United, and for City it's vital that in a season whereby they've dropped off so dramatically, if they can win the FA Cup and get into the Champions League, that's still a really good season. You know what I mean? I used to think that at United we had bad seasons, but then when you look back and you think you won an FA Cup or you won a League Cup or you won something like that, you still sort of got that momentum of having a medal around your neck and being on the podium. So City have got some work to do. They've obviously got a big game in the semi-final, and they've got some important league games left, but if they can do those two things, I still think there would be something to sort of say that City have done well, even in a difficult season, challenging season for them.
In terms of Amorim, did you like his assertion this week that he's not here to wait around, he's not going to take years to say he needs to deliver success to United, he's in a rush, he wants this club restored and he wants to be the man to do it? So essentially he's putting the pressure on himself.
I think he just knows the reality that if it's like this next season, then he'll be in trouble. Because I think the reason, obviously, at this moment in time, he's having some sort of what will be leeway given to him, and rightly so, is because obviously he's inherited a group of players who were already down and out, and they've continued to get worse. He's implementing a new system and a new shape partway through a season, which is always challenging. He's not had a pre-season with them. He's not had a proper chance to be able to sort of cultivate the squad and make it what he wants it to be. And his squad is so unique that you do need specialists. Those 2 players that he's looking for behind the striker, obviously the 3 centre-backs that he'd like, the wing-backs, they're positions that Manchester United really haven't had. I mean, you're playing with Dalot and Mazraoui in these positions most of the time, or Amad Diallo. They're not perfect wing-backs. He's brought Dorgu in, who's obviously a little bit better at it. The 2 behind the front player, United haven't got players that suit that at all. I mean, Bruno half does it well, but even he's better, I think, a little bit deeper like he's been in the last few games. So for me, there's a lot of work to do for him to get to a point whereby he's comfortable, but he knows that this time next year, if United in the bottom half of the table, that he won't have that luxury of being able to sit there and say, I'm building for the future. He has to deliver a good season next year. Now, that's not winning the league, but they have to get back up towards the Champions League with the amount of investment that's gone into the squad.
Before we get to next season, something United have to immediately improve on is their attack. Really poor in the final third, 4th worst conversion rate in the division. Amorim says it's because the players want it that badly that they're making decisions out of desperation rather than with their quality. A game like this tends to suit them better though, when they can play in a low block, work on the transition and play on the counter.
Yeah, that's been the same for 5, 6 years, 7 years, when going back to Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even Erik Ten Hag, who wanted to be on the front foot. They've ended up being better when they've actually sat back and counter-attacked. No Manchester United manager other than Louis van Gaal since Sir Alex Ferguson has been able to dominate big matches with possession, and that's a real problem. I've got another take on the player. The players up front just aren't of the quality that are required at the club. I mean, that sounds really harsh, but it's the truth.
How do United rectify that then? Because we know finances are so tight. So where do they get an elite forward from? How do they afford him? Or do they have to go young again, but that's not worked out?
It's difficult. It's going to need smart recruitment, and that means getting players out for good prices, which is going to be challenging with the wages that they're on, and getting players in under value, which everyone else is trying to do in the whole league, in the whole of Europe. You know, I was talking up there before, you could field 4 players that are not at Manchester United anymore. You could put Elanga, Welbeck, Rashford and McTominay behind them, and I think they would do a lot better than the current players that are at the squad if you put them 4 up front in sort of a 3 and a 1 behind. So Manchester United have let players go. I'm not saying those players are the right solutions for United in the long term either, because they've been let go, rightly so, for the reasons that they have been. But they've replaced players that weren't at the standard and weren't performing at the level with players who aren't even at that level. And it's really obvious for everybody to see, because every time I watch your Welbeck at Brighton, or I watch McTominay, or I watch Rashford at Villa playing as he is, and you see Elanga at Forest, I think to myself, they're better players than the ones that are operating out there for United at this moment in time. So the recruitment, when they tried to get rid of players that they maybe thought weren't the standard, and they've tried to bring in players that would be better, have ended up being worse. And that can't happen. That's why Manchester United are in the position they're currently in.
One of the key questions that has been asked is whether Manchester United should keep or sell Alejandro Garnacho. Now, based on what you've been saying, where would you fall on that debate?
The issue is you end up losing faith with everybody in the end. When you're questioning yourself like United are, you end up sort of doubting everything and everybody, and you're not quite sure what fits and what doesn't fit. And that's been the same for 10 years. Someone's going to have to make a decision on that. You know, it's being mooted that Garnacho, Mainu are for sale. That's obviously for different reasons than maybe quality. Or is it because the manager doesn't think they fit into his squad? That's the problem you're going to have in this next few months in the transfer window emerges and these players become available. United fans are going to be really sort of sceptical of the fact that it's financial reasons these players are being let go rather than professional and football reasons. So that is the issue the club have at this moment in time. They're going to need good communication over the summer about what their strategy is. I think Ruben Amorim is going to have to be at the heart of that, because he's going to have to communicate why players like this are potentially leaving the club. They're young, obviously academy graduates. That's something that United, it's very important to the club. So am I fully happy with Garnacho and his performance levels? No, I think that he's inconsistent. But then I've never known a winger that's come into the club. Very unusual to find a winger that's consistent straight away. Saka at Arsenal is an absolute unique proposition as a player, where he comes in straight away and he delivers 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, 9 out of 10. His lows are never 4s and 3s. His low is a 6, where he still works really hard. Garnacho does hit real lows in his performance levels and his consistency. But that to me, that's not unusual for a young winger. That's how I would expect it. And the greatest player probably of all time that's played for this club, Cristiano Ronaldo, was very inconsistent in his early years. I'm not comparing them, but I'm just saying that he had his challenges with consistency. So that's the issue when you're in a period like United are. You doubt everything and everyone.
On that note of great players, Kevin De Bruyne, do you think he'll start today, or is Pep Guardiola not going to go for sentiment in what would be his last derby?
Well, Pep Guardiola won't do sentiment. I can guarantee you with that. But I hope he starts. I want to see him every single time. I honestly think he plays for the wrong club, in my mind. He plays because obviously he's playing for City. But every time I've watched him in 5, 6, 7 years, it's been a joy. And I've said it quite often on commentary. When I turn up to watch a football match and I see Kevin De Bruyne sort of glide forward, deliver those sort of whipped right-footed crosses, honestly, it's a thing of beauty.
Quick prediction?
1-1.
Sitting on the fence. Thanks very much.
That's optimism. That's not sitting on the fence.
Thanks very much, Gary.
Thank you.